And related services, including real property appraisals, property management, development services, vacation property rentals, and traditional rentals. Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. From the Access Channel 5 studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Channel 5. Continuing the traditions of Senior Report, we are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week, countywide, from 9 to 10 a.m. Join us by calling in live, emailing us, or checking out our social media. And now, from the Channel 5 studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Well, good morning and happy Saturday, everyone. I'm Doc Hamels. I'm so glad you could join us on this kind of snowy day. I think it's going to turn clear or rain or something, depending on where you're sitting today. We're up here on the hill in Mayville, and we had a little bit of sleet earlier, but other than that, it's winter driving. Not too bad. Hope you're having a good weekend. I hope you're getting ready for the holidays and you're doing well. And we've got a great show in store for you. Lots of good information about what's going on here in the county. As always, I want to remind you that this show is for you folks. We try to provide information and share things that are going on that you may not always know about. We try to find out the stories behind the story. You might see things in the paper or whatever, but we try to bring the folks here and go into depth about what's going on. If you have a question for us, give us a call at 753-5225. You can email us, you can Twitter us. We got all the technology here. We got social media. We always invite you to go to our Facebook page and give us a like or check out what's going on there. And of course, Access 5 has their own page, and they have the schedule of all the different shows here throughout the week. I want to say good afternoon to our friends at WRFA 107.9, low power to the people, and the crew over there, because we'll be rebroadcast Tuesdays at 1 o'clock, and we're just so glad that we have that friendship and partnership. It's going well, and it's just always fun to have friends tell me that they hear the show over there in Jamestown. So thanks, guys, and I hope you're doing well over there. Okay, as we go along, we always try to pop up some pictures and that sort of thing. So I decided, well, who's enjoying the winter? So here's my first candidate. Bring them up. Here, okay, they're going to pop it up for me here. I took this picture the other day, and there he is. There's my buddy, Mr. Max. We always talk about Max. He's my shadow. Max is a bearded collie, and he was out with me yesterday. And that's the true picture of joy. Max is just, for those of you on the radio listening right now, Max, it looks like he put his head in whipped cream. He's got snow and ice all over his face, and he's just got this smile on his face that I happened to capture as he was charging at me out in the woods. But he's enjoying winter. I hope you are too. And then somebody posted this next picture, and actually it's just like across the street from here. It's right outside the old school building. And when we leave the station here very often in the wintertime, we'll see kids sledding right down the hill. I don't know what they call that, but it's the school hill maybe. And so that was back, I'm guessing maybe, yeah, Jeff says, yeah, he remembers that. I'm guessing it's probably 20, 30 years ago or maybe more. I can't tell by the cars because they're covered in snow, but kids are enjoying the snow. So somebody's happy this winter. I hope you are too. So anyways, it's been an interesting week of weather, and last night, I'll tell you, it was really blowing hard where I was up in Ripley on the escarpment. Wow. So, all right. So a few things I want to share with you. Today, we're going to do a live show, but later on, we're going to spend some time with a group of folks. I'm not going to tell you what it's all about, but they're going to be here, and we're going to pre-record next week's show. So just give you a heads up, you can't call in next week because nobody's going to be here to answer any questions or talk to you as far as what the show's about. But it's going to be a pre-recorded holiday special, okay? It's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you can tune in. It's going to be a lot of fun like every week, I hope, okay? I want to give a shout out to Autumn Echo over in Jamestown, over on Facebook. She posted a really nice statement about the media in our county, and Chautauqua Sunrise was included in that group of being, what's the word I want to say, forthright, upfront, sharing information without twists and, you know, all that kind of mind spinning and twisting the truth. And so I want to thank her for including us, because that's a high compliment when we were included with a lot of the other media that I respect in the county. So thanks for the compliment. All right, what else is I going to tell you? Just as a side note, for those of you, and this is purely egotistical, New Year's Eve at 21 Bricks, Will Russell and myself will be playing from 7 to 9, and I want to welcome you. It's free, 21 Bricks. They're going to be offering what they sell, their wines and things like that, but we'll be playing, and then there's another band that will follow, and I just want to encourage you that if you're not doing anything on New Year's Eve and you want to come out and listen to some very good music, come on out and listen to us and the other band that comes out. So that's coming up, and lots of stuff going on, and I'm going to get to it right now. As always, we want to remind you that our friends over at Infinity are doing all kinds of great work with kids and young adults. And if you ever have a question about signing up your children for lessons or classes, you can give them a call at 664-0991 or go to their website, Infinity Performing Arts. That's all one word, infinityperformingarts.org. Also, this is just kind of like a public service announcement, Children's Safety Village. They offer things like babysitting. Now, they don't do babysitting, but they do babysitting courses so that kids that you know and your family, relatives, whatever, they could take this course and they can babysit for you when you go out on New Year's Eve to come watch me play. And the kids get the first aid and American Heart Association training and all that, and it's all good stuff. They also provide some karate for women's safety and protection. They do some CPR for businesses and individual training, and that's all at the Safety Village. And if you have any questions about that, give Terry Kidberg a call at 499-8138. All right. Let's go up to my buddies up in Fredonia. A free and confidential monthly support group for Alzheimer's and dementia caregivers, family members, or residents is available at Fredonia Place. The group is open to the general public and is free of charge. They even give you something to drink for free. The meeting is held the third Thursday of every month at 4:30 in their Winter Garden Theater, and that's at the Fredonia Place campus over on Howard Street. So give them a call if you're interested. Then, Jamestown, 4th Annual Community Holiday Hall. I know it's going on right now as we speak. I've been seeing pictures on Facebook and that. It's being held to support St. Susan Center, and that's today till 3 o'clock at the Jock Shop parking lot on Harrison Street in Jamestown, where Jamestown Community College Athletic, I'm going to say this all over again. I should practice this ahead of time. Where Jamestown Community College Athletic Director Keith Martin will be stationed. Things they're looking for is 100% fruit juice, saltine crackers, canned fruit, laundry detergent, dish soap, paper towels, spoons, plastic, copy paper, metal forks, metal spoons, men's gloves, women's gloves, all those sorts of things. Gift cards, money, cash, anything. Remind you that that they have served this year over 113,000 meals, and they're figuring that they're going to serve 125,000 before the end of the year. Let's see, that's up 5,000 from last year. That tells you something, folks, and up 45,000 meals from 2009. This is also being sponsored by the Jock Shop, Media One Group, Cummins Engine, Jamestown Awning, and Jamestown Mattress. We were just talking before the show, our county is such a generous group of people. Get out there and support these projects if you can. Okay, then from my big buddy Mike Rowd, the Bear, he sent me a note the other day. He says, good news, veterans. As of February 27th this coming year, veterans will be able to save money on prescriptions through VA healthcare. The VA is creating 3 tiers of co-pays. And I'll just kind of give you quick examples. Tier 1 would be $5 for a 30-day supply of generic drugs. Tier 2 is $8. Tier 3 is $11. And there's different medications you get. But it says all traditional exemptions will apply. These changes only apply to veterans without service-connected disabilities. So pass the word, and if you have any questions, give them a call at 661-8255 at the Jamestown office or the Dunkirk office at 268-6030, and to see if you're eligible for the VA health care or any other veterans benefits. And as you know, we have the veterans on here a couple times a year because it's near and dear to my heart, and it's just so important. Over 11,000 veterans in this county, and we want to make sure that you're getting the services that you deserve and then very often that you need and you're not getting. So with that, I'm going to say one more thing, and then we're going to call a public service announcement. We received sad news this week that a loyal viewer of Chautauqua Sunrise has passed away, and so I want to just put out our condolences to the family of David Jens. We're sorry for his loss and your loss, and this is the kind of show we have here, folks, that we're a family and that we do stay connected, and you all take care. Right now we're going to take a public service announcement, and we'll go right back to our show. Thank you.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Okay, and we're back. And we didn't scare off my guest. She's returned. We were just checking our archives, and she was here last November. So I want to welcome back Reverend Amy Rohler. And she's with the Community Helping Hands, and you are the executive director.
I am, and it's great to be here again. I always have a lot of fun when I'm here.
Well, great. And you've had a lot of things going on in the past year, and we got so much to talk about what you're doing here. We got some photos and things like that. So, Amy, I introduced you as Reverend. Mm-hmm. So you are a bona fide minister.
Yes, I'm ordained in the Evangelical Covenant Church, and before I moved to Jamestown 7 years ago now, my husband and I were co-pastoring a church in New York City, and then we moved here. So I do a lot of guest preaching. In fact, I'm preaching at the Randolph United Presbyterian Church tomorrow. A lot of just pulpit supply.
You have gigs like I do.
I do, actually. It's actually a lot of fun because it's a great sort of way to bring community helping hands, which we are a faith-based organization, and so when I go to churches, Methodist churches, Presbyterian churches, Lutheran churches. I've been to Bustite Church of God, lots of different churches here in the community, many of which support us. It's kind of a wonderful way to make that connection to Community Helping Hands, give people updates on what we're doing, but also it's a chance for me to see what those churches are doing. And I kind of enjoy getting to see all the ways in which, churches in the community are really working together or doing, wonderful things for
So you're
people.
sort of like a free-floating minister?
Kind of, yeah. And I do occasionally preach in my own church tradition,
home
which is the
base.
Covenant Church, so
Uh-huh.
Zion Covenant and First Covenant Church in Jamestown. But it's actually a lot of fun. I get to meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
And oftentimes I'll see somebody that I know because I've met them in church, but I can't remember which church, One of those things where when you see somebody out of place, it's very hard to kind of place them. but-
I can relate to that. Having been in education for 30 zillion years, I'll have students come up to me, former students, and say, "Hi, Doc." I go, "Hi.
I know you, but how do I know you?" Yeah.
And it's the boys I generally know. It's the females because they've cut their hair, they've colored it, they've got tattoos now, they've got rings in their nose or whatever it is. And we're like, "Help me."
What did you teach?
Oh, I was in special education.
Special education.
OCs.
Yeah.
And then I was an administrator, and then I retired as school superintendent in Ripley.
That's cool. I don't think I knew that you were with BOCES.
You should interview me sometime.
I should. We should switch. I'll sit there and
There
you
go.
sit here.
We'll have to plan that sometimes. Yeah, I was in education. So anyway, our paths are similar, where you're seeing hundreds of people in a given year,
Yeah.
and like you say, people come up to you and you go, yeah, okay.
Well, and we were talking before the show about just how generous this community is and how people volunteer. And, when you're in a position like yours or mine and you're constantly interacting with people and seeing people in other places, you realize how much is going on, how much people are doing, all the ways that they're kind of giving back and making the community a better place.
Especially in this seat, where I am every Saturday morning. We've interviewed, I don't know even know what show I'm on, 130 something or other. And boy, I don't think a show goes by where we don't announce or we hear about what's going on in our community, others helping others. I mean, just today, with the veterans and so forth, and St. Susan's and things that we'll be talking about with your programs. With all the news that we see constantly that's going on, I think, it's Facebook, we get sucked into the drama that's outside of Chautauqua County, and that's why this show is so centered on what's going on in our region. I go across the border a little bit into Pennsylvania from time to time, and they're our cousins as far as I'm concerned. But it's the same thing. It's people helping each other. And I think we have a tendency to think that, the person down the street is lurking and, ready to jump me or whatever. I mean, it's just, it's even if you go into cities, people have that mentality sometimes. And it's just not true.
Well, local is kind of a hot thing right now, just everything local, but you don't realize how important it is to know your neighbors or, even like, this political season that we're kind of in right now or have just kind of come out of. It's like, really, it's sort of what's happening locally in your community. That's where you can have the most impact
Absolutely.
in people's lives. And, whether it's local businesses or local farmers or local organizations. I just think that's really important. And I think connecting with your community and being a part of it and remembering that this is our community,
Right.
like we're in it together, I think that's really important. So.
Right, and the guests that I've had on here, I know we're digressing from what we're going to talk about, but I think it's important because I think it fits your theme and what I do here, is that we try connecting the dots with people and that it's a community-based TV show, and I'm amazed by how many people come up to me and they say, "I love your show," and I go, "Why?" And they said, "Because we feel like we're coming into your living room, or you're coming into our living room, and that's what we're all about here." And you're doing the same thing. What you're doing and things like that is we're breaking down those barriers and those fears that just seem to be cropping up all around us. It's just not here.
Yeah. Well, and we're a Community Helping Hands. We're a community-based organization. We're local, celebrating our 15th anniversary this year.
Congratulations.
And when you think about sort of where Community Helping Hands came from and how it started, and everything that's happened and changed in the last 15 years, it's really cool. But people will often refer to us as helping hands. Like I went down to Helping Hands. People say that to me all the time. But the community part of Community Helping Hands is actually really important. Because yes, our mission is to give a hand up, and yes, we're constantly helping local families in need, but it's because of the community that we can actually do that, whether that's like donations or support or people volunteering, or even the people that we've helped coming back and volunteering and helping us sort donations. You know, the community is really what makes it work.
Okay, I'm gonna dive into something that sometimes sparks some things. And you're not gonna get in any trouble. I'll be the one to get into trouble here.
Okay, that's good.
When I first moved to Chautauqua County, now it's been 44 years now I've lived here. There was definitely at that time, and I don't sense it so much, I think it's still out there, north and south.
Right.
Okay? I say I don't live either north or south, I live in the west. But you used the word about 10 times in the last part of your presentation here, community. Define community.
That's, wow, putting me on the spot. Define community. I mean, community is just all of the connections that make a place. You know, there's actually an urban planning term called placemaking, and the idea is what happens in those sort of public spaces. And I feel like, you know, community is the relationships and the networks that allow a group of people to sort of live together. You know, whether that's helping each other out, or whether it's like businesses or churches or you know whatever. Schools are very much a part of that. Government, of course. You know,
So it's the entire fabric.
yeah, it's everything.
Yeah.
You know, so
Because some people say community is my neighborhood. Well, okay, but I think it's bigger than that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it has a boundary. Maybe it's just where people stop living. You know, like the lake is the boundary, or or whatever. But like I was saying, I've had folks on here from Pennsylvania. Well, that's still our community. They're like our first cousins. And we can't forget about the fact, just because there's a line that says "Welcome to Pennsylvania" or "Welcome to now entering New York," that we stop as people. And that sort of thing.
Well, and one of the great things about being a faith-based organization, and not necessarily getting any government funding, is that we do help people out from Pennsylvania and from the North County, and because they're not that far away from Jamestown.
So, as far as you're concerned, then community for you is all of Chautauqua County?
I mean, for me, for us, community is anyone who's willing to kind of lend a hand or who needs help.
Walks through the door.
Who walks through the door, exactly.
Okay.
So,
this fall I had the Chautauqua Leadership Network on here. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
I was in the class of 2013.
Okay, I'm in class of 97.
I don't think I won the drawing they did on Friday. I was very hopeful.
No, I didn't see your name. But I remember during that period of time when we were going through our intensive training as part of the network, they talked about healthy communities. I don't know if you talked about that topic, but it really pushed all of us, because there was like 25 of us from all walks of life and leadership roles, and we talked about what is a healthy community. And so I always ask that question: is how do you define community? And we're on the same page. It's much broader than the 10 houses right around your house. It's that's your little niche, but community is much larger, and so many ingredients in there. If I can jump around a little bit, you mentioned the term faith-based organization. What does that mean?
It basically means that our beliefs and our faith are what drive our mission.
Okay.
And so our mission is to empower people to help themselves and others. We meet physical, spiritual, and emotional needs. And we do that because it comes from that belief that we ourselves have been sort of given a hand up by God, so to speak.
So is it a particular faith?
It's not. Our board of directors represents all different kinds of churches from across the theological spectrum.
Really?
And I think that's important
I didn't
too.
know that.
Yeah, I think that's important just because, we may not always agree on every interpretation of Scripture or even like how it is that we worship, but we probably can agree that, we have a mission to help the poor.
Let's talk about your board of directors. I mean, a lot of people don't know how organizations such as yours, or many of the ones that have been on my show, how they're organized. So you have a board of directors. How many people?
It's about 10 people.
Okay,
It can be 10
good
to
size.
15 people,
All right.
depending on, different terms. And basically the board of directors is a group of volunteers, just like any other volunteer at Community Helping Hands. But they help with the vision, with strategic planning. They have really a fiduciary responsibility
Right.
as well, a generative responsibility, so doing new things, pushing the boundaries of maybe like where we've been in the past. And they're essentially like, they kind of supervise me, they direct me,
And it's a legal corporate body
is,
because
yeah.
it's incorporated
Yep,
501c3
we're a
perhaps?
501c3.
Okay.
And so the board of directors, we meet monthly, but they're kind of a really key piece of what we do, because having that group of people whose job it is to direct and plan for an organization.
And advise you and give you, this is what we're hearing out on the street. Did you know this or whatever? Yeah.
And they're advocates for the organization. They're out there in the community connecting. You've had Jim Holler on the show before,
yeah.
owner of Trinity Guitars. He's on our board. I think that's how I ended up here. Making those connections in the community as well. That's
So we
really
had the musical connection through Jim.
Yeah.
Jim and I are buddies. So who's the president of your board?
It's a gentleman named Matt Slavin, and he is a minister at Park Church in Sinclairville, but he's also a firefighter in the city of Dunkirk. So you think about that whole North County, South County thing that you just talked about.
so you're
Even
there.
on our board, that doesn't really exist. He lives, I think he lives in the middle, Casadega. So.
But it's so important that when we're talking about Chautauqua County that we try to be inclusive of all corners, if we can. I mean, if our organizations in our charter or our mission includes that. So that's great. You said that you've been working for 15 years as an organization. Can you tell us a little bit of the history of the organization? I think we touched on it last time, but it's always good to come back on it. So how did this all start?
Well, it started back in 2001, and I believe it was a group of pastors. They just wanted to be able to help people with furniture. People would come and have no furniture in their house. They would need beds, they would need dressers, and they really just needed like a warehouse to store things. And people would come in, they'd kind of pick it out, but there was no organization, there was no tracking, who was getting helped and what people got. I mean, there wasn't a store like there is now, a thrift store. They didn't really have volunteers. They just kind of put furniture in a room, people would go pick it out. And that was at a warehouse in Faulkner that it started. And then just throughout the years, about 10 years ago, Community Helping Hands moved into the Gateway Center, which Gary Lynn had bought at the time. And it's the old Chautauqua Hardware building, so for those who've been around for a long time, built in 1897, and I think when he bought it, it was in pretty bad shape.
Right.
Some of the stories he tells about how many windows they had to fix, that were broken, and big holes in the floor and things like that. And so he began the process of kind of restoring the building, and St. Susan's was actually the first tenant in the building. And you've been to St. Susan's before, and just really what a wonderful job they did restoring that building. And then Community Helping Hands moved in about 10 years ago. And that's when it really started to get a little bit bigger, where we have a thrift store, we have furniture showrooms, we have a sewing room where we have women who are pregnant who are working in there, and we have volunteers that teach them how to sew and quilt. We run the Family Center, which is on the second floor of the building. And we're looking at a photo right now, and you can kind of see, it's actually 4 floors, the Gateway Center, and it's 200,000 square feet. Most people don't realize how big it is and how many organizations are there.
Wow.
Not just Community Helping Hands in St. Susan's, but BOCES is there. Shout out to your...
Yeah, my comrades. Right now, we're folks on the radio, we're looking at a beautiful picture of the Gateway Center, and you can easily see that it used to be the Chautauqua Harbor, but the windows are all redone, and look how handsome it looks. Almost looks like they did an acid wash on the brick. Looks really, really nice.
Yeah, it really, it's been repurposed.
14 different organizations, looks like, by my quick count there. All right, very good.
BOCES does adult ed programs, so ESL, English as a second language, high school equivalency, some life skills and work programs.
Joyce Golden?
Joyce Golden is
And
there.
my buddy Joyce.
Yep, and they did a lot of initial work on the building, again, taking folks who are on public assistance assigned to work experience, they get their GED at the same time that they're learning some skills and trades like carpentry or painting or tiling or just even cleaning, things like that. BOCES does a lot of work, and they're a great partner in what we do. Mental Health Association is also located at the Gateway Center.
Like a one-stop, huh?
Yeah, and they're doing amazing things right now with, recovery programs, peer counseling. I don't know if you've ever had, Rick Huber on the show before.
No, I've met him over the years.
But, he can talk just powerfully and passionately about the drug problem in our community and what they're doing at Mental Health Association, how many people they're helping. That's at the Gateway Center. So there's just a lot happening, and what happens when there's all these organizations is that we end up partnering together a lot, you know, both formally and informally. We're constantly helping each other out.
You're a big referral system. I mean,
Yeah.
you walk in and you want this widget, and they may share with you that, you know, somebody in their family has an issue. You could say, oh, you could go over there.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then
absolutely.
They go over there and they find out something else. Yeah.
You know, I mean, St. Susan's is kind of like our staff cafeteria, you know, our volunteers go there and they have lunch and, you know, Mental Health Association, if we have people who are in need of counseling, you know, just having people right there who are trained to do it. And that happens a lot, you know, as you're working with people where they're going through a particularly tough time in their life or struggling or depression or whatever it might be. And so to have those organizations to be able to work together and help each other really, there's kind of a synergy that happens.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about that earlier.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And the Gateway Center has become kind of like a crossroads for people because we have different organizations who will come and do outreach there. Chautauqua Opportunities is there, you know, trying to get people in the Head Start program that they run, for example. You know, different medical groups will come, you know, Fidelis to sign people up for benefits. And it's because there's people there going to get a meal. They're going to get help in recovery and support groups. They might just be shopping in the thrift store. They're there to get their GED program. And so there's just a lot of activity, and it's a great place to just maybe, if you're trying to connect with a certain population, to kind of find those people. So
We're looking at a picture right now in front of the Gateway Center sign, and there looks like about 30 people in blue shirts with their hands waving and big smiles. That's you in the front.
There's me, yeah. So those are our Community Helping Hands staff shirts, and staff is anybody who's volunteering or working. And we have a lot of people who do work experience there. I don't know if you're familiar with the work experience program, but basically if you're on public assistance and you're getting cash assistance, you're often required to work to continue to receive those benefits. And there's a lot of different local not-for-profits that have work experience participants. But the idea is that while you're working, you're building skills and getting experiences that will help you find a job, and so you're not on public assistance anymore.
Right. It's the whole idea is to break the cycle
Yeah.
and move you along instead of just staying where you are.
So a Community Helping Hands, that can look like somebody who's in our thrift store on the register, you know, ringing people up. There's experience with customer service, cash handling, you know, just it's a retail environment.
I have never done a register.
You haven't?
I've never
well,
done a register.
now they're, you know, now it's all credit cards and Square.
Now you use your little phone and you have that little
That's
thing
right,
you slide
and swipe
it.
it. So
What I mean is, of all the things I've done over the years, I've never done that. Probably a good reason.
yeah, I've actually never worked retail. A lot of waitressing in my life, in my past, but not so much retail. So, anyways, that work experience program is great because you know, even though a lot of those folks are required to be there, they really become part of the team. And that picture that we had seen, you know, that was 30-some people, you know, who are really. They feel part of the community at Community Helping Hands, and they love knowing that what they're doing is helping people. And we have a lot of people who are required to work a certain number of hours, but they actually work more than what is required because they just enjoy being there. Or even though they don't have to come in, if we call them, they'll come in because somebody might not have shown up because they're kind of committed to what we do, or they're committed to the people they're working with.
That's awesome. You know, Jeff Smith sent me that statistic of 125,000 meals served this year. How many people, on average, do you see throughout a year, a month, a week? You picked this statistic.
So people come to us for help basically if they don't have the things they need for their household, whether that's beds, dressers, you know, pots and pans, silverware, clothing, that kind of thing. And if they need everything, if it's anything more than just clothing, they have to have a referral and an appointment. And we meet with them, find out what they need, we give them a voucher, and they shop for themselves in the store. So when you're shopping in our stores, you don't know if you're shopping next to an antique dealer or somebody who might have been recently homeless, and we kind of like it that way. So we do 4 to 5 appointments a day of people in need of help. And in 2015, we gave away over $96,000 worth of used furniture, clothing, and household items. 54,000 of that 96,000 was just clothing and household things like pots and pans. 45,000 of it was furniture.
How do you value it? Because it's used? Do you have
When it comes to furniture, we have and we actually, if you've ever shopped in our store, our prices are very, very low. So kids' clothes are 50 cents.
Oh, wow.
You know, men's shirts are $2. Men's pants are $2. So, you know, a set of dishes is probably $5. You know, so if you can imagine how many sets of clothing that is, or how many pots and pans, it's actually a lot. And with furniture, we value a couch at like 45. You know, a bed we value at 10. A you know, living room chair 25. So, you know, so we're not talking about, you know, just a few couches. It's a lot of couches. It's a lot of beds.
A lot of units. Okay.
And
all right. So
we actually
five people a day, 280 work days a year. You're talking about well over 1,200 people.
Yeah, it's a lot. And you know, and people can come for help every 90 days. So some of those are, especially with clothing, because kids grow, the seasons change, things wear out. So some of those people are not, you know, they're coming back a couple of times per year. But it's a lot. It's a lot of work for our staff. We actually give away more than we sell. So of all the donations that we get in from the community, if you look at our cash sales versus what we give away, I think our cash sales in 2015 were, I want to say like 49,000, let's say, in just the clothing and household, and we gave away 54.
Okay.
So 50 to 60% of everything that we get from the community is going to help somebody in need. And the rest is essentially helping us keep the lights on.
So at this point today, if people are listening, and this show goes all over the place, somebody has stuff in bags in the basement, like me. My wife bags everything I own and puts it in the basement and puts in these plastic bins, and I'm not a hoarder. I'm not a hoarder.
You just don't know when
I'm not a hoarder.
You just don't know when you're going to need those things again.
See, we have this annual purging of the closet. If they're watching right now and they do have things, are there specific things you're looking for? And if you are, how do they get them to you? Do you pick them up? Let's talk about that arrangement now.
Okay, so we have a truck that picks up furniture, and so if people call our number, which is 716-487-1488, they can schedule a pickup for furniture. And we go, I would say about a 20-mile radius is pretty typical for us. We don't go to, for example, Dunkirk to pick up furniture. It just doesn't make sense to, you know, for the gas and the maintenance on the truck to go that far.
Spin a profit on that, yeah. But they can bring it to you.
And they can bring it to us. They can drop it off during our hours of operation, or if it's a smaller item, we have a drop box, you know, clothing and household items, and that's anytime. It's right off the parking lot.
Okay, and so, you know, people are really good about this show. They listen very carefully, and I know that we're effective because I hear that there's been connections made over the years. Furniture sometimes gets a little beat up. I mean, are we talking gently used, or can it have some damage to it? Do you do repairs there?
We do some small repairs, you know, like if a leg is loose on a table kind of thing. But, I mean, you know, this is something that's kind of good for people to know when they're donating to any organization that is taking on used clothing or furniture. You know, don't give us broken things. Don't give us a game that has not all the parts to it. You know, don't give us clothing that's stained. You know, because
would you want to
exactly
think about it? Would you want to receive this or buy this?
You know, would you put it in your home? Great. You know, like you may not want it anymore. It may be a little worn. That's fine. But something that's broken or just so damaged that you really couldn't use it, it's not really that helpful to us. And one of our costs is actually trash. You know, I think we spend about, depending on the year, you know, $3,500 to $4,000 in just trash, because
trying to get rid of things that people give you that you can't use.
Yeah. So we do a lot of recycling too, and that helps greatly. But
all right, catch your breath. I'm gonna do a little announcement here. Folks, you're watching Chautauqua Sunrise, and my guest today is Reverend Amy Rohler, who is the Executive Director of Community Helping Hands, and they're located at the Gateway Center on
31 Water Street in Jamestown, just off Foot Avenue.
Okay. And if you have a question for Amy or myself, or an announcement, as we talked about earlier, something you want to share, give us a call. Okay. I'm sitting here and I'm going back in my mind of the days when I worked in education in no particular town, no particular area. There were times when I would do home visits, and there were some rough situations. And I remember beds, I don't even know you could call it a bed. It was more like bed springs or a mattress on the floor.
Yeah, that's probably one of our biggest needs is mattresses and box springs
Really?
in decent condition. You know, we won't give someone a bed that isn't really in good condition, but that's a big need. You know, couches, kitchen tables, and chairs. You know, anything you would need to make a home. A big need that we have are men's clothing. Men do not donate clothing; they just wear it out. If you come to our thrift store, there's a tiny little section for men, and then the rest is women's clothing.
I'm not a hoarder. I'm not a hoarder.
So
That's true. If I'm sitting here laughing at myself because I have probably half dozen a pair of jeans,
Yeah.
and they go from almost falling apart to where I can wear out, you know. But we have guys do that. We have seasonal clothes. That one, my wife go, "Why do you keep that sweatshirt?" Well, that's if I'm up on the roof and I'm working and I don't mind getting tar or dirt on it.
Right.
What about that sweatshirt? Well, that's what. So we sort of categorize our clothes. Don't mess with it, okay,
Yeah.
out there.
So men's clothing, shoes, you know, children's clothing all the time, just because
Yeah.
most children wear it out.
Yeah.
Again, you know, so those kinds of things. Pots and pans and silverware, I think, are a big need. Towels, linens, you know, good quality towels. This is one that comes up a lot, but pillows.
Oh, yeah.
Most people, by the time they get a new pillow, their pillow is not worth donating. And so we actually, we have a sewing room that I mentioned, and one of the things that they do is they make pillows. And so they make the pillowcases brand new and they stuff them, and they can't keep them on the shelves.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
So things that you don't think about, can openers. Most people don't donate can openers because, again, by the time you buy a new one, yours is so worn out
Yeah.
that it's not really worth giving to anyone else. It's rusty, it's got food on it,
Or
you
it
know.
stops halfway. And
Exactly.
you can't do anything with it. And yeah, I know
So
that.
that's those things people don't often donate just because by the time they're getting a new one, it's been worn out. Unless, you know, it does happen where someone passes away and, you know, that's the kind of thing
Like
that
a
might,
whole
you know,
household.
yeah.
As the months go by and so forth, and people are donating, are you open? What are your hours?
We're open Tuesday through Friday, 10 to 4, and then Saturday, 10 to 12. We usually do pickups during that time as well with our truck, but again, you can drop it off anytime. We are always looking for volunteers as well, so people who love sorting and organizing donations. This time of year, we have a Christmas shop, and basically people donate. You would not even believe the sheer amount of Christmas decorations of all kinds that people donate. We save it all year round, and then in December we set up a really nice little Christmas shop. Anyone can shop there.
There it is.
But we also give away a lot of Christmas trees and decorations to local families that could not afford to decorate their home for Christmas.
I would not believe that I was going to say these words right now, but I now understand how people have too many ornaments.
You really could not possibly imagine how much stuff we get every year. And every year I think there is no way we're going to have enough to be able to do this Christmas shop, and every year we do. One year I had a volunteer put together 106 Christmas trees.
Oh my gosh.
And we put them together before we sell them because oftentimes they're donated without all the parts.
So what's a Christmas tree go for?
It varies. I think it's anywhere between $5 and $20 is probably typical.
So right now, folks are watching or listening on the radio, and they're not watching, they're listening. Big sign Christmas shop. Is this on the first floor at the
This
gateway?
is on the first floor
And
in the thrift shop where we typically have what we call our bag sale.
Uh-huh.
And right now it's next week is going to be the last week that it's open because Christmas is a week away.
Oh my
or
gosh.
Just about.
So they can get a really nice artificial tree, bring it to their home for a few bucks.
Decorate their home, ornaments, decorative things, villages, nativity sets, garland, anything you can imagine is in that shop.
Well, I mentioned I know how you get too many ornaments because my wife said to me this year, our tree's too big. I go, what do you mean it's too big? Because it's artificial. I lost that battle a few years ago. I used to cut down our own trees right out of our own property because I planted trees years ago. So I said, okay, what does that mean? And she says, well, maybe we need to buy a new one. I go, whoa. Don't jump to any conclusions here. So what I did was I simply didn't put one of the pieces, the bottom part. So I didn't tell her what I did. She came home, she was perfect. I go, money saved. So instead of a 9-foot tree, now we have like a 7-foot tree. But I just realized I have all these boxes of ornaments, and now I can't decorate a 9-foot tree
Right.
anymore. I got like 100 extra ornaments, and people give you things, whatever, and so I could see where that happens. Or like you said, people that have estates from their families, people pass away, and what do you do with all of that stuff
Some
that they
people have very extensive Christmas collections, as you yourself know.
Right.
So it's it's one of those things where we talk about meeting people's physical, emotional, and spiritual needs, and you could make the case that having a Christmas tree or stockings or decorations is not a true need, but there's an emotional need to making a home for your family at Christmas that's really significant, I think. And so, yeah, it's not food. Someone's not starving, but having a tree with lights and ornaments and a wreath in the window and stockings for Santa, like that really makes a difference, I think, in someone's life.
I'm going to go off on a big limb here now, and I
Okay.
don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm sort of like a universal kind of a guy when it comes to faith-based stuff. So what you're talking about is traditional Christian-based activities, trees and wreaths and things. Do you have, for instance, for the Jewish faith, do you have things?
In the Christmas shop? I mean, yeah, there's anything that gets donated that's holiday themed.
Okay,
would
so
be in there.
so it could be various religions.
Yeah. And one of the things that's important too for me as a faith-based organization is you don't necessarily have to be a person of faith to work or volunteer there. That's where we're coming from and what our mission is. But I have volunteers who are Muslim who volunteer at Community Helping Hands, and I don't have any Jewish volunteers. There's not a very large Jewish community, I think, in this area. But and so again, it's about we may not be able to agree theologically, but can we agree that people need help?
Right.
And can I contribute to the mission?
And
that
where
you're
I was
doing,
going is that you're not limited by your faith or your religion, what you have in the shop. It's whatever people donate, and it is possible you could have a Muslim section or a Jewish section or whatever faith, something else other than Christmas wreaths.
Yeah, typically I've found just generally, sometimes in spite of what our faith traditions are, a lot of people still celebrate Christmas, even if they're not.
It's fun. It's a good time. All right. Amy, I always like to do this, is I like to kind of walk through a scenario, and I know this is difficult to generalize a client, a person, but in your mind, can you pick out somebody? Maybe it was somebody that came in just the other day for the first time, but who are they? What's the age group? Are they married? Do they have children? Did they just move into the area? Did they lose their jobs? What's this person look like? Sometimes it comes in, and I'm not going to hold you to a specific person, but what do you see out there?
I mean, the answer to your questions are yes, yes, and yes. I mean, the people who come for help are sometimes women who have been victims of domestic violence and they're starting over.
Oh, see, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, just somebody who's just getting out of prison and has managed to find an apartment, usually through the help of there's a transition coach, that when someone's coming out of prison but doesn't have the money or maybe the family to help them purchase beds and dressers and pots and pans and towels and sheets for the bed, and a pot to cook in, and some of the things that you probably you go to your cupboard, you pull it out, you take it for granted that it's going to be in there,
It just falls out sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you have too many things. Families who just moved to the area, they might have come from another state or another country, and they don't have many resources, just people who are struggling because they either work part-time or they don't work at all. So when something breaks, they don't have the money for it.
College students?
I don't have too many college students who come in, although I think we have had a couple of JCC students who've come for help before. So I don't, I think poverty doesn't necessarily have a specific color or demographic necessarily. There was a woman who was there who had lived a pretty privileged life, but she was recently divorced and had some mental health issues that were really kind of keeping her down, and she was there, and she'd been at some point living at a house on the lake at Chautauqua Lake, So
major life event changes.
A lot of people who are on public assistance, not working right now, disability, seniors who have limited income, fires.
So where I was going with this is it could be any one of us tomorrow.
Well, and the thing that when I'm doing, I don't often do the referral interviews. I have a staff person that does that. But when I have been doing them, one of the things that I always say is there's not one of us who at some point in our life has not had a hand up.
Absolutely.
Like, we've all gotten help. We've never done life on our own. And so, you're a person who right now is in need of a hand up, but hopefully, sometime down the road, you're going to be the one that gives the hand up. And that whole pay it forward mentality.
And speaking of handouts, I got somebody on the phone right now that does a lot of work with people in the community.
Great.
Good morning, Linda.
Good morning, and good morning, Pastor Amy. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
Good morning, Linda. I recognize your voice. I mostly talk to Linda on the phone, but...
That's how I talk to her most of the time, until I can drag her in here once in a while.
I have to say that we do have participants that are in our senior employment program who are assigned at Community Helping Hands. They love it. They are so dedicated and committed to what you're doing there. You have an extraordinary facility and a beautiful philosophy that people embrace, and they want to help in the community. It's just phenomenal what you do there and what that building is. And you work together to help the young and the old.
Well, Linda, thank you. Linda Spalding is from the Office of the Aging, and she runs the Senior Aid Program, where seniors are paid to work in different not-for-profits, and I think it's between 13 and 20 hours a week.
You know what? You two ladies, I'm going to take a walk. You two run this show. I don't even need to be here.
And Linda's right. We do have a couple. Over the years, we've had multiple senior aides in this program, and one of the biggest struggles we have is they can only work. I mean, they really can only work 20 hours a week, but they want to work more.
Right.
And they want to come in and volunteer their time, and we have to say, no, I'm sorry, you really
the rules
cannot.
are
You
rules.
have to.
Yeah.
You can't even volunteer your time. So it's a wonderful program to give seniors some experience, work experience. Sometimes you can be in an age group where it's very challenging to find work and employment.
Right.
And it's a really wonderful program. Linda does a wonderful job.
Well, thank you. I have to return the compliment. Well, it's great to see you on the show, and I just can't explain the reverence that the people get a look in their, an expression in their face, and the reverence. They are so committed to being there. They are so happy to be there.
That's
what a
great.
wonderful place to send people.
That's
No,
great.
thank you.
Linda, you all ready for the holidays now? You weren't last week, I don't think.
The holidays come whether I'm ready or not.
Oh, that's perfect.
I'm always ready for it because I always look at the spiritual side.
There you go.
So.
What's the weather doing out there? We're all locked up here in the studio, so I can't tell if the sun's
Well,
shining.
we're having a heat wave. I'm wondering if I should put my suntan lotion on. I think it's pushing up to 20 degrees.
Oh no! What will we do? I think it's supposed to get to 40 or something like
Yes,
that today.
that's what they said. I'm not looking forward to that. It's going to be a real mess.
The mud and the rain, the dogs. She's got a couple dogs.
I know it, and they don't like to go out when it's bitter cold.
No,
See, my dog loves it. He can be right out there in the worst of it.
I used to have a poodle that loved it no matter what the weather was. And when it was snowing, he would dive into a snowbank and eat the snow.
That's Max. He's like a polar bear. So what's going on with your group this week?
The Office for the Aging distributed, and I think they may still be distributing baskets for seniors.
Okay.
It's done every year, and the people in Chautauqua and the group, a lot of it is done through the directions of Ed Schmidt. He gets a lot of people going, and then the Office for the Aging gets a lot of donations from the county government workers and people in the community, so they can put together some really great gift baskets for the Christmas season.
Which only supports what we were talking about earlier, that this county is so generous, and always willing to give a hand to others,
Yes.
That's awesome.
It's a great county to live in. It really is.
Great.
It really is.
So anything special you want to announce?
I just hope it doesn't get to zero again. Can you do something about that?
Of course, we're Chautauqua Sunrise. The sun will rise.
But I wish everybody a great weekend and a great week coming up.
Okay, and Linda, I don't know if you caught earlier, next week is pre-recorded, okay? So you can't call in.
Okay.
All right.
Well, all right. Well, then I'll say Merry Christmas,
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
Hanukkah,
Merry
all those
Christmas.
wonderful things.
All right, and you too,
Thank
and to your
you.
family. Okay, you take care, Lynn.
You too. Thanks
All right.
again.
Thanks for calling in. Well, we're down about 4 minutes. Do we have any other pictures, Tina?
Well, I'd love to talk a little bit about what we do at the Family
Please
Center.
do.
We haven't talked much about that.
Go for it.
A lot of people don't realize that we run the Family Center on the second floor of that building. That
Mm-hmm.
includes laser tag. It includes batting cages now, which is fairly recent. There's an indoor skate and BMX park.
I remember you talked about that last time.
And I don't
You
think
had
we
pic-
got to it. I think
Oh,
that we
there's
got
some pictures
distracted.
there, I think.
This is some of the photos. We recently did this wonderful project with the Chautauqua County Camera Club,
Mm-hmm.
where they used some of the kids in our indoor skate park as models for like action photography.
There's one guy that's upside
Yeah,
down on a skateboard.
I don't know if there's
how
another
he's
photo
doing
of
that.
it, but and we did this, and the Community Foundation gave us money, and we printed them on metal,
There
and we
it
have
is.
this wonderful like photo project.
Montage type thing.
Yeah, this is one of our staff. Actually, his name is Steve Godra, and he's pretty
Is he all-
talented on a
is-
scooter.
is he all
He's
right?
doing a 360.
I mean, is he like
he's gonna land.
mentally sane?
He's gonna land it. Trust me.
I mean, for those on the radio right now, he's upside down.
On a
His
scooter.
skateboard is like horizontal, and it's parallel to the floor, and he's got to be like 6 feet off the ground or something like that. I don't know how he's doing that.
And so our family center, we have a lot of volunteers there as well, but it's basically a safe and positive environment
Cool.
for kids, families, teams, the community to spend time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's used by other organizations too. Department of Social Services uses our cafe to meet with clients on Wednesday afternoons.
Wow.
Child Protective Services will use our facility for supervised visits.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new organization that's located there called the Baby Cafe, and it's a supportive.
Baby cafe?
They should be on the show. I think they'd be thrilled to do that.
Tell him to call me.
It provides a
Baby
supportive
cafe.
environment for nursing mothers, and
Oh.
Chautauqua County has actually very low rates of breastfeeding compared to other parts of New York State. And so the idea is they have certified lactation consultants who just help mothers who are struggling to breastfeed. So that's a big piece of what we do that's completely different from the thrift store. And helping people in need, sorting donations, things like that. It's a great place to have a birthday party. I'm telling you, like if you have a 9-year-old, they love laser tag. This is a shot right here from the roof of the Gateway Center, and that was our 15th anniversary celebration. We had a block party.
Wow, look at all the people.
And we probably through the Chautauqua Center, we gave away backpacks. The fire department was there, the police department, bounce houses, snow cones, all kinds of stuff. And that was
time.
we just thought the best way for us to celebrate 15 years was to invite the community and just, throughout the day. So that was our parking lot that day.
Wow, it's a
So
big facility.
it is, it really is. So there's so much happening. There's more than we can talk about really in this hour.
Okay, so we got
But-
about a minute left. So recap what's going on this week. So people for Christmas, or they want to come buy things or whatever, what should they know?
The Christmas shop is open, so come Tuesday through Friday, 10 to 4.
Okay.
We're not open the 24th, which is New Year's Eve day, or Christmas Eve day. And if you make year-end donations, if you give, we can always use financial help.
And this is tax deductible?
It's tax deductible. We're a 501c3. This year is our 15th anniversary, and so we're asking if we can find 50 people to give $15 a week, which is about $780 a year. So if you want to be a donor like that, $15 is what we give one person for clothing when they just walk in for clothing and need help.
Local money staying, helping local people.
Yep. Definitely, we can always use the support of your donations, whether it's financial or it's furniture or it's clothing. That kind of thing is always a great help. And then if you're interested in volunteering, give us a call and we'll find a spot for you.
Okay, 487-1488.
That's right.
I got it written down. The music is starting to play. Evidently, we've run out of time. Reverend Amy Rohler, thank you so much, as always, for coming on this show and telling us about Community Helping Hands. We wish you and your family a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Thank you.
And that goes out for everybody else, because we're going to be
Thank you.
pre-recorded for next week. So have a safe weekend. Be careful with the weather. And we'll see you all next Saturday, at least pre-recorded, but we're going to have a special show for New Year's Eve day as well. You take care, and we'll see you then. Bye now. There you go.
Thank you.
We covered a lot of territory.